Hi, I'm Jitesh, and today I'm presenting our work done at the Physiological Computing and AI Lab at UCL Interaction Center addressing semantic segmentation of thermal facial images. For thermal infrared imaging, regions of interest are more commonly defined as bounding boxes. However, researchers have highlighted the challenge of including unwanted regions with larger bounding box as on the left and excluding some parts of target region in case of smaller bounding boxes. It is therefore suggested to define ROIs anatomically with pixel-wise labeling that implies semantic segmentation task. Thermal facial images pose several computational challenges for the segmentation task. For instance, facial features are not salient, and these features vary with the changing physiological states. Spatial patterns are also affected by ambient thermal conditions and pose variations. Furthermore, for thermal infrared wavelength, most of the objects are non-transparent, resulting in more frequent occlusions such as forehead hairs and eyeglasses. State-of-the-art in semantic segmentation can be broadly categorized into segmentation networks, loss functions, and learning strategies. Significant development has been made towards segmentation network architectures, and here we discuss few notable ones that we implement in this work. UNet and Attention UNet have been widely studied for segmentation in medical imaging, while deeper networks such as TPLAB family and HRNet have shown promising performance on RGB benchmarks. Research on the loss function has highlighted the need for combining pixel-wise loss such as cross-entropy with overlapping loss such as DICE and RMI as well as learning strategies including GAN and contrastive learning. However, there remains unaddressed challenges of semantic segmentation for thermal facial images. First, the available dataset sizes are small and most of these datasets are acquired in controlled laboratory conditions. Models trained using these datasets may not function optimally in varying thermal ambient conditions as well as when occlusions not seen by network appear in an image. In addition, the learning strategies including GAN and contrastive learning that has shown promising performance for RGB benchmarks on semantic segmentation rely on pre-trained weights which are not available for thermal images. To overcome these challenges, we introduce a learning framework which we refer to as Self-Adversarial Multiscale Contrastive Learning or SAMCL. SAMCL framework comprises thermal image augmentation, TIAUG module, and the SAMCL loss function. The TIAUG module augments thermal images which are acquired in controlled laboratory conditions such that the augmented images represent few of the unconstrained settings. SAMCL loss function utilizes the adversarial attacks made by TIOG to achieve intra-class proximity and inter-class separation for the feature representations. Thermal image augmentation module takes thermal images acquired in control settings and applies transformation to simulate real-world conditions. First, TIOG module synthesizes occlusions which with vary sizes, shape, and temperature. Synthesized occlusions are then added in a single dual disjoint or dual connected configuration at randomized coordinates on original thermal image. Secondly, TIO considers an acquisition noise parameter of commonly used thermal cameras, which is referred to as noise equivalent temperature difference or NETD. The maximum NETD of 0.1 degrees Celsius is generally specified for low-cost mobile thermal camera. TIO adds pixel-wise randomized noise with the upper limit of 0.1 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, TIO combines basic image manipulation related to geometric transformation to augment images. The figure illustrates sample of synthesized occlusions added to original thermal images which are normalized, resulting in diverse real-world representations. Here we study effectiveness of TIOG module in generating diverse representation by analyzing average difference between the foreground and the background temperature before and after augmenting with the thermal images. In this case, the foreground is facial region, which is typically at a higher temperature than background or ambient temperature when images are acquired in control settings. The histogram of an illustrative thermal facial image at the bottom left depicts a typical temperature distribution for normalized thermal image. The real-world thermal images often exhibit atypical temperature distribution when ambient objects such as of higher temperature appear in image, example hot beverages or sun. Segmentation model, when trained only on images acquired in control settings, can potentially be overfitted to the typical temperature distribution, resulting in segmentation failure in unconstrained settings. We compute average foreground background temperature difference for a set of normalized thermal images with and without the TIOC augmented images and perform box plot analysis as shown in figure on the right. Atypical foreground-background temperature difference are evidenced in the plot, with negative difference representing the case when objects at higher temperature than the foreground regions appear in an image. Here we described a proposed SAMCL loss function that gets an inspiration from the existing supervised contrastive loss function. Existing supervised contrastive learning approaches require pixel embeddings to apply contrastive learning. Owing to the unavailability of pre-trained models of thermal images, the feature representation in the pixel embeddings are not rich and undergo significant changes over the training iterations. To overcome this challenge, the proposed SAMCL loss relies on computing triplet loss using predicted segmentation mask or logits which serve as an anchor. The ground truth segmentation marks serve as positive sample while we apply a novel and simple trick to synthesize negative sample. We take one hot encoded ground truth segmentation mask in which each channel contains a binary mask for respective pixel class. We then randomly shuffle the channels such that the class labels of the shuffled or the class swapped mask do not match with the one hot encoded ground truth segmentation mask. This class swapped mask serves as a negative sample, thereby enabling us to compute the triplet loss. In this work, we use RMI loss as a distance function to calculate initial triplet loss. However, the SAMCL framework can flexibly utilize other distance functions as well. We further introduce a four-layered auxiliary network to compute the triplet loss at multiple scales, leading to a multi-scale contrastive loss. To summarize, the proposed SAMCL framework combines TIOG module and the SAMCL loss function to train existing segmentation network on thermal datasets with limited size. The augmented thermal images with atypical real-world representations generated by the TIOG module serve as an adversarial attack to the model. This self-adversarial attack makes a portion of predicted segmentation mask overlap with the negative sample as described earlier, resulting in an effective contrastive loss. It is to be noted that the proposed SAMCL framework is required only to train the segmentation networks and does not have any computational overhead during the inference. For training as well as quantitative evaluation of the proposed framework, we use thermal phase database that is available with 68 landmark points. The landmark annotations are used to identify enclosing contours of different facial regions. All pixels in the respective enclosed regions are then assigned the corresponding pixel class. Training and validation spread is done subject-wise for unbiased evaluation. We train UNet, attention UNet, TPLAB V3 and HRNet without pre-trained weights with Xavier uniform initialization. Performance comparison is done with existing loss functions such as the BCE, DICE, and RMI, along with the GAN and the supervised contrastive learning strategies. As thermal phase database is acquired in control settings, we perform qualitative evaluation on UV comfort and deep read datasets that represent field-world settings. However, as these datasets do not come with ground truth annotations, we could not run quantitative performance analysis on these datasets. Results of our quantitative performance analysis show that a segmentation network trained using the proposed SAMCL framework outperforms existing loss functions as well as learning strategies consistently for all segmentation networks. We observe the best performance with attention UNet trained using SAMCL framework, exceeding the state-of-the-art learning strategy that is supervised contrastive learning by mean IOU of 1.35%. To further study the contribution of the TIOG module and the SAMCL loss function separately, we perform an ablation study. The base performance for all segmentation network is obtained using RMI loss function that showed best performance among other loss functions. We observe consistently improved performance for all segmentation networks when thermal images are augmented using the TIOG module. The performance of the respective segmentation network is further improved when the proposed SAMCL loss function is combined with the TIOG module-based augmentation. As an attention UNet shows overall best performance for segmentation of thermal phase database, we use the same for qualitative evaluation. RMI loss function shows the next best quantitative performance on all the segmentation networks. Therefore, we use RMI loss function as a state-of-the-art to qualitatively compare the performance of the proposed SAMCL framework. On the top, we see samples of thermal phase database with the ground truth segmentation mask overlap. On the right, we plot temperature distribution of entire dataset overlaid on each other. This depicts highly controlled environment used in acquiring thermal images. The initial qualitative analysis on thermal phase database compares performance of fewer images with naturally occurring occlusions such as forward hairs. Here we find minor improvements in the segmentation outcome. We further augment validation set of thermal phase database and plot overlaid temperature histogram on multiple images. Histograms show diverse distribution, signifying the effectiveness of the TIOC module. The comparison of outcome of augmented images evidenced the effectiveness of SAMCL in handling arbitrary shaped occluding patterns and occluding objects at different temperatures. We extend the evaluation of UV comfort datasets that is acquired from participants sitting inside the car. We observe scenarios of eyeglasses and occlusions that makes the SOTA fail to perform reliably, whereas the model trained using the SAMCL framework shows robustness to the type of occlusions unseen at the training time. Similarly, when evaluation is conducted on the deep red dataset, we notice increased reliability with the SAMCL framework. The respective temperature histogram of UV comfort and deep red datasets show diverse distribution as these datasets are not acquired in controlled settings. To summarize, SAMCL framework brings a novel multi-scale contrastive learning strategy that is effective in training existing convolution networks for semantic segmentation of thermal images when dataset size is limited and real-world representations are unavailable. Specifically, the TIOG module presents an image augmentation technique for thermal imaging utilizing existing datasets which are acquired in controlled settings. SAMCL loss function utilizes the self-adversarial attacks by TIOG the module to compute multi-scale contrastive loss. SAMCL framework demonstrates the state-of-the-art performance evaluated quantitatively on thermal phase database and qualitatively on UV comfort and deep red datasets. Here we see a demo of segmentation outcome generated using existing state-of-the-art as well as outcome generated by the segmentation network trained using the proposed SAMCL framework. This demo brings out very simple real-world condition of a person holding a cup filled with the hot as well as the cold beverages, which highlights the effectiveness of SAMCL framework to achieve reliable segmentation performance. Please find the links to our project webpage and the code available below. We thank you for listening.